Hi there, still going through our shadow work, learning to see and love the beauty and to see the beauty of loving your ugly. Now, how does your ugliness show up in your life? Everyone has some ugliness, right? No one is exempt from being ugly in life. Whether you are a supermodel, your ugliness may be your attitude. Whether you are the Pope, your ugliness may be the shadow that you cast and never look at because you're so holy all the time. Whether you are a housewife, whether you are the CEO, whether you are picking up papers on the streets, wherever you are in your human journey, you've got some ugly in you. But there's beauty in seeing and loving the ugly in you. The ugly in you doesn't disqualify you from anything in life. In fact, it's when you learn to see and love the ugly and see the beauty in your ugly that you learn to then show up as a more whole version of yourself in the world and in your reality. So, how does your ugly show up in your world? You may need to think about that because for most of us, our relationship with our ugly is dissociative. We deny that these parts of ourselves exist. We shame them. If you're ugly as your cellulite, you only wear long skirts and pants, and so you don't show it. You dissociate from that cellulite. So how it shows up is that you hide it. That is how most of our ugly shows up. It shows up hidden. And where you can't hide it, you show up in shame because you are highly ashamed of those aspects of yourself, or you overcompensate in one area because there's ugliness in another. Most of the time when ugliness shows up, we want to project, we want to blame it on something other than ourselves. We want to look at something other than ourselves. We want something and someone else to take responsibility for this ugliness within us. But the truth is, it is our ugliness. It is your ugliness. It is my ugliness. And the responsibility is on you, on me, on us to take that onus for our ugliness. But you first need to be aware of how the ugliness shows up. For example, in some countries, there's a huge issue with xenophobia. And that is hating people for not being originally from the country. And most people who are foreigners in that land experience a lot of discrimination for being foreigners. Another example of a collective ugly is racism or sexism or bigotry in the many kinds that we see today. There's so many ways in which our ugly shows up, but how it shows up can be very subjective. So it's easier to see an ugly like xenophobia, but we tend to justify it if you are part of the group that is perpetuating the ugly. But when it comes to our personal ugliness, instead of justifying, we dissociate. We don't want to see that. We're not ugly. Oh my God, like I have a pimple over here. So you just put some concealer on that, put some powder, and that's gone. You don't need to think about it. And then when I take off my makeup, I'm going to just put another cosmetic product on that and not think about it. I'm not going to think about what my pimple is telling me about the health of my skin and actually taking care of myself, which is what you then need to do when it comes to becoming aware of how your ugliness shows up in your world. You start from dissociating. Oh no, that's not happening. Not me, not I, never. And then you go to accepting that this is ugly and this is showing up and this is how this is showing up. And then you will drop into this helplessness and shame that shame often evokes. Shame will evoke a sense of helplessness because you feel very disempowered where you're ashamed. But when you come in with the intention of seeing the beauty in your ugly, see the beauty in those parts of yourself, and come in with an even deeper intention of loving those parts of yourself in truth, you will start to have a different relationship with that aspect of yourself. You will start to have more compassion for yourself. You will start to understand yourself a bit more. And you will then start to integrate that part of yourself with more love and less shame, and come to a place of accepting that this ugliness is also you, and that you are responsible for that ugliness. It's probably not going to change much, but when you learn to see its beauty, how it shows up in your life will be completely different.